All right, guys. So I love it when you guys send me good stories to talk about, right? It makes my day a whole lot easier and efficient. So if you ever have good stories to send me, please send me them. And somebody sent me this story on Twitter that I just find to be just a symptom of a bigger societal issue in regards to this whole dynamic around so-called safe spaces and having to satisfy everybody, right? As this student, Mr. Peter Fray-Witzer, wrote an op-ed, right, in the Oberlin Review. Oberlin College. It's a college in Ohio that's super duper liberal, right? $80,000 a year, right? $80K to go to, right? Imagine paying $80K to go to a school that I don't think is probably very good. I can imagine he probably won't get a positive return on investment from his degree unless he majors in something not liberal arts, right? But based off this op-ed, it seems like he'll most likely major in something that probably won't get him a positive return on investment for his degree. As this student wrote about how he was upset about cis male workers coming into this person's dorm to install radiators, right? To install radiators. They're upset because the workers were cis men. That's what he's upset about. And if you read his op-ed, this guy's in shambles, right? He's legitimately hurt by this. Okay, so again, he's so hurt that he decided to write about it. So we're going to read this as this story is going super viral, but I wanted to read the actual op-ed so that you guys can get a first-person perspective of what happened and how this person is feeling. It is truly fascinating stuff. Quote, on October 7th, residents of Oberlin College received an email from Josh Matos, the area coordinator for multicultural and identity-based communities. Again, that's one of those jobs at college that they have just to be having, which is why the college is so expensive, because we pay for stuff like this, right? Quote, I'm reaching out to you to give you an update on the Radiator project, Matos wrote. Starting tomorrow, Friday, October 8th, the contractors will be entering rooms between 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. to install the radiators. This will mean that they will be in your room for a period of time to complete the work. I had not been contacted about any sort of radiator installation before this email, so right away the word update stood out to me as untrue. I grew concerned reading the second line, which informed me that I had less than 24 hours to prepare for the arrival of the installation crew, and I was further perturbed by the ambiguous "for a period of time." Bruh, talk about reading too much into an email, bro. Like, come on. I mean, us guys, do we read this much into a woman's text? I mean, that's the only situation I can think of where a dude is going to read this much into a message that they got, right? Is when you're talking to a woman, okay? That's the only time you read this much into stuff like this. But my God, man, he is analyzing it line by line. In general, I am very averse to people entering my personal space. This anxiety was compounded by the fact that the crew would be strangers and that they were more than likely to be cisgender men. Oberlin College is the home of the Women in Trans Collective. The college website describes the dorm as a, quote, close-knit community that provides women and transgender persons with a safe space for discussion, communal living, and personal development. Cisgender men are not allowed to live in the second and third floors, and many residents choose not to invite cisgender men to that space. So, aka segregation. Which, I mean, to be fair, I mean, colleges, for the most part, there is some segregation between men and women, right, by gender. So, I guess, this is not out of the ordinary, but, I just don't understand why is it that this person is thinking so deeply about the fact that they're going to be workers that are going to come here to install a radiator, which is going to help you keep your room warm during the wintertime when things are starting to get cold. If anything, if I was him, if I would have known this, I just would have left the dorm during those times in which they were supposed to be there and just be done with it, right? Come back later if you actually felt that uncomfortable. Furthermore, I'm also assuming that this person is a trans man, right? So it's a woman or a girl that is undergoing a transformation to a man. I honestly really don't know. I'm just guessing that based off the dorm floor description, right? Who's allowed to actually be there. So with that being said, I mean, if this is a woman transitioning to a man and they're complaining about this, then I guess you should say man up, right? I mean, is that an appropriate thing to say? I don't know. Because it seems like, if you want to be a man probably would not be so concerned about stuff like this. Just saying. I was angry, scared, and confused. Why didn't the college complete the installation over the summer when the building was empty? Why couldn't they tell us precisely when the workers would be there? Why were they only notifying us the day before the installation was to begin? Well, that's because typically when it comes to projects like these, things are not always done on time. You can't always predict this type of stuff, right? Dealt with it all the time at school. Deal with it all the time every single day. When you on the road and you're traveling, right, and construction workers are always working. Everybody knows the highway that the government promised that would be done years ago, but that they're still working on, right? It happens to everybody, man. You just got to deal with it. I considered reaching out to Matos, but what would I say? The college was unlikely to address any of my concerns the day before the scheduled installation, and if they did, it would more than likely be a passive, we are truly sorry for the inconvenience sort of way, punctuated by an insistence that I would not be excessively bothered and that the installation was necessary whether I liked it or not. Okay, so what do you want? So would you rather them not install it and then you freeze your ass off for a whole semester? Would you rather that, or would you rather just deal with it, go to, I don't know, somewhere else on campus where you feel safe and just have them do their job and then come back? Or would you just rather them not do it at all? Okay, like what exactly do you want the campus to do here? Like what do you want to do about this, right? The next day, I waited apprehensively. The workers began installing in common spaces, and I could see immediately that they were all men. It was clear that the college had not made a special request that male workers not be allowed onto the upper floors of Baldwin. Predicting when they would reach my room was pure guesswork. I was trying to anticipate whether I would be in class when they arrived or if I'd have to welcome strangers into my room only to be ejected to allow them space to work. Okay. So first of all, who else did you think was going to show up, right? You think women do this job? No, they don't. Only men do that job, right? Men are the ones that are responsible for building basically 90% of the infrastructure, right? I mean, look, that ain't sexist. That's just real. That's just facts, okay? So who else did you expect to show up, right? I don't understand, okay? Of course, they were all going to be men. So therefore, the college could not make no special requests because they don't have any other workers doing this. Only men do this job. And again, see, this is what I'm talking about. I did a story earlier today about the folks at Netflix, the employees making special requests, right, to Netflix, trying to make them do things that are not in line with Netflix's bottom line. Again, there's some people in this world that want special rights and privileges. They don't want equal rights, right? Everybody has to deal with it. I'm pretty sure women have to deal with men coming into their dorms to fix stuff, right? That's just what they got to deal with. But for that reason, this person thinks that, they can request to have these workers be a certain gender, right? Again, in my opinion, discriminating against the cisgender males that they don't want in there, right? So you're discriminating. You're discriminating. When the insistent knock eventually came, I scrambled to get my mask on and repeatedly shouted, coming through the door. 4 or 5 construction workers stood outside, accompanied by somebody who I could only assume by his neat polo and clipboard to be an missionary of the college. We stared at each other for a moment before I moved aside to allow the workers to enter. The missionary began issuing platitudes that the work wouldn't take long and encouraged me to prop open my door. I asked meekly if I could actually not have a radiator installed in my dorm. I knew the answer was no before I could even said it, but hey, worth a shot. Wait, so this guy, you would rather freeze to death than to have a new radiator installed in your dorm by cisgender men. Bruh, you cannot make this up. You cannot make this stuff up. This is crazy. I left for class, and by the time I had come back, they appeared to be done. though Polo Man warned me that they would return later in the week to check the installation. Sure enough, they were back the next day. I felt mildly violated and a little peeved. Okay, yes, mildly violated because the workers came back to make sure that you're going to be able to have heat in your room, that you're not going to freeze to death. My God, there are some people in this world that are just, ungrateful, man. I couldn't help but think that though there were other dorms affected by the installation, Baldwin Cottage was one of the worst places for it to occur. There are myriad of reasons to want to be housed in Baldwin Cottage, but many people, including myself, choose to live there for an added degree of privacy and a feeling of safety and protection. A significant portion of students choose to live in Baldwin because they are victims of sexual assault or abuse, have suffered past invasions of privacy, or have some other reason to fear cisgender men. Okay, and look, I understand that, right? I understand having certain experiences that, lead you to believe certain things about certain people, but that is stereotyping, right? And this stereotyping is leading to discrimination. That's what you're doing. You're discriminating against these workers. You're saying that they should not be allowed to do their jobs in your dorm because you're uncomfortable. Again, so how is that any different than somebody saying, hey, you know what? I'm not cool with transgender workers coming in my dorm to do work because, I just feel uncomfortable with them, right? Again, it's no different than that. These same people that always want to talk about feeling included are always trying to exclude at every single chance they get. And yet that's what really blows my mind about a lot of this stuff, okay? When I asked other Baldwin residents how they felt about the whole debacle, some responded with the usual complaints about any hardware project: the mess, the noise, the suddenness, but others admitted that they weren't entirely comfortable with the way the installation had been handled and the fact that they were subject to the whims of the contractors. One resident told me that they were instructed to ask another resident to hurry up in the shower so that the workers could have access to the bathrooms. In my experience, if the workers couldn't hear the water running, they would come into the communal bathroom as they please, regardless of who was occupying it. Well, you guys were warned a day ahead of time that they were coming. It's up to you to, make the proper changes to your schedule to make it happen. I mean, everybody has to deal with this. I understand, of course, that installations like this are routine. The college needs to improve its facilities occasionally, and who am I to stand in the way of that after all? I get a brand spanking new radiator right in time for the cold winter, but why not finish the project during the 4 months of the summer semester when the building was unoccupied? Why not alert us earlier to the intrusion? Why didn't the college make a schedule detailing when the workers would be likely to arrive at each dorm and each room? They should have taken measures to keep students comfortable and safe, especially those who had elected to live in a specifically designated safe space. All right, so this person, you can tell their whole life they've been coddled, right? Evidenced by the fact they're paying $80,000 a year to go to a ultra liberal college, right? Where they probably won't get a return on investment on a degree. But this is what happens when we coddle people, right? This is what happens when we coddle people, right? When we coddle the youngins, when we coddle the young folks, this is what happens. People get offended by people literally coming in and trying to install a radiator in the room to make sure they don't freeze to death, right? Apparently, this person was distraught, okay, torn apart, to the point where they felt the need to write an op-ed about it, okay, their experience. Again, it blows my mind that we're living in a society where people are genuinely hurt by such little things, right? It really blows my mind, man. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.